Hello everyone watching this presentation. This is Ayoub El Asry. Um, I work at the CLE at South Texas College. I'm a computer science tutor, and today we'll be going over Microsoft Excel and how to do data analysis with Microsoft Excel. I will be doing this presentation with my coworker. His name is William. And we're gonna be doing this in two parts. Alright, so this is a general presentation on Microsoft Excel, as we'll be going through some of the features, some of the basic features of Microsoft Excel, and then on the later presentation, on the last ones, we'll be introducing some more advanced Excel features. Alright, so by the end of this presentation, you should be able to know the applications and basics of Excel. You should be able to know how to create a table and how to manipulate data in a table. Um, how to use those tables for different data analysis methods and features that Excel offers. How to create charts out of that data or out of those tables, and how to use pivot tables to your advantage to find correlations within the data. We'll also introduce you to formulas and functions and how to use them in Excel, as they represent a huge percentage of the features that are offered in Excel. We'll also be discussing how to protect and share your workbook, and we'll introduce a new feature in a recent version of Excel, in Excel 2013 and up. It's called Flash Fill, and it's really convenient and makes your job much easier. So let's start with some basics, and we're basically gonna talk about what Excel is used for in general. So when you hear Excel, you usually hear about Microsoft, because they're it's the company that that created Excel, along with the other famous Office programs like Word, PowerPoint, and Access. If you've used those before, Excel is mainly used for data storage and data analysis. So you can store data in Excel spreadsheets, and you can run different data analysis tools on that data that you've stored in the same spreadsheets. Excel is has become widely used among the big companies, marketing companies. Um, it's also used in scientific research and analysis of like and statistics, and how governments use uh, data to find trends and to find well, it's used by mostly like everybody, even individuals. Um, it's also really known for financial and statistical applications as well. It's actually used mainly for financial and statistical applications. So if you've never used Excel before, um, it's as simple as opening Excel now. Now, well, on the recent versions, you just need to open Excel, You select a desired template from the templates offered to you, and you start inserting data right there on the spot. Excel, like any other program, has hotkeys to facilitate and to make your job much quicker. Like everything is a couple of keystrokes away. So the famous ones, the famous hotkeys, and these should go for every program and every operating system. Control plus C for copy, plus X for cut, plus V for paste. There are undo and redo hotkeys as well. There's the delete key, and that lets you remove um, the contents of a cell or an entire range in the worksheet. You can also navigate through the worksheet without having to use the mouse or the touchpad, simply by using the tab and enter keys, arrow keys as well. Once you open Excel, instead of going through the backstage view and having a create a new workbook, you can simply use Control plus N to create a new workbook. And there are also some other keys that you can see here that you can use. Alright, so next I'm gonna be talking about tables and how to use. So um, most of the presentation will contain videos like these. They're actually not videos, they're more like screen captures that are saved as a GIF format. So they're gonna keep repeating over and over again, so you can still see them. This presentation will be available to you to download for free, so you can see it over and over again. Or if you wanna see a part that you've missed, or a part that you needed to review, you're gonna be able to download it and look at those yourself. So expect a lot of these little videos that repeat over and over again throughout this presentation. So for this one, for example, the first video, as you can see, I'm trying to insert a table or make a table out of a set of data that I already have in the spreadsheet, and that could easily be done by selecting a cell within that the range of the table that you want to create, and then you go to the insert tab, and then you click the table button. It's gonna appear right now. There, table button, and press OK, and then it creates a table out of that. So tables are gonna be useful for us later to do different things. You're gonna be able to see. Okay, so next up, um, you can also perform table calculations on tables. So that's one of the features that tables offer. Um, if you have a table, you can insert a total column that allows you to calculate the sum here, for example, for each row. Like here, you have um, a couple of products by department and by category. So like produce, for example, uh, in veggies in October it was $30,000, I guess, in sales, and $80,000 in sales. In December it was $30,000 in sale. So you can insert. So you simply tap total and you press enter, and you go to the next cell, and you won't even have to do the sum function for each row. You can just use the shortcut Alt plus the plus key, and it's gonna run the totals for each row. All right. Um, it's not only limited to sums or totals. You can also um, like, for example, find the average. You can average out all these totals and come up with an average total for all the sales, for example. So this takes basically all of these and divides them by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 8. So it sums all of these up and it divides them by 8, and it gives you the average. But in order for you to see this row, you need to enable it. So to enable it, this is repeating, by the way. This video is repeating. So you go to the design tab while selecting the table, and you check the total row checkbox right here. Once you do that, it's gonna repeat right now. So design total row, and then here. So for on each one, you can pick what you want to calculate for that specific column. Okay, so this does it by columns. By the way, like on our previous example, it was by rows. All right. So you're also able to visually alter the table itself, so you can design your own table, and you won't have to color like each cell individually, add a border individually, because what you can do is you can pick from table styles and from table style options, and you can format the table visually as you please. So here, for example, you can select from these different table styles. There are more here. Once you press the expand button, you're able to select more. You have access to more table styles when you press that button. You can also add and remove design elements. They're called design elements on the table style options. Like, for example, you could enable banded rows, which shades the rows like to even, and like it shades the even rows and leaves the odd rows. So different design options. You can customize all of this yourself, but for if you want to save time, you can just pick a design, a table style, and they're all available in the tab, in the design tab. All right. Okay. So let's say you wanna capture a little, like a trend for each row. You wanna see it visually, like how it increases or decreases. You can do so through adding spark lines. Spark lines are you can think of them as tiny charts that can fit in cells, and like, for example, here you can see that if I insert a line, like, it goes by these four cells, there are different type of spark lines that you can do. But for a line, for example, it's going to increment because it takes these numbers or on each point for each point on the line. So, like for example, if I insert a line, like 90,000 is going to be here, 11,000 here, 200,000 here, and so on. And it does it for each line. So this helps you capture like the trends for, like, maybe you see it that a certain department is going up in sales. Like for example, on the beef, on the meat department, the beef category is going up in sales. So you can see that through that spark line. They're really useful if you want to see, if you want to capture trends for different, for I guess different data. This is also one really neat feature that you can find in Excel. If you use tables, you can sort. Um, well, you can sort um, alphabetically, and you can sort with numbers. So in order to do that, you will have to select the table, and on the editing group box, you click on sort and filter, and you click on the sort button. Once you do that, these little um, arrow buttons appear on each column, and once you click them, it gives you a menu on like that menu is basically it's a lot of things, but the first two options is how you can sort like alphabetically or from ascending from smallest to largest. Notice how it changes for numbers, but if you do it for a column that has words, it says A to Z. And this does not mess with your row, so it doesn't change um, the rows. It takes the whole row and it rearranges it somewhere else. That's the power of tables. Okay, so sorting, yeah. Filtering tables. Let's say you just want to see, for example, like you just want to see the bakery department, the sales for the bakery department and the meat department. You can do so through filtering. Filtering basically, like it's self-explanatory. You want to filter out the data that you don't want to see or that you want to see. It all depends on the checkboxes you select on here. Like for department, let's say I wanna sort by department. I wanna display only the bakery and meat sales, so I can just check those two. If I wanna show everything, I don't need to filter out anything. So I'll just leave select all enabled. All right. So I hope you get the point of filtering. Filtering is just lets you see a specific set of data, like a specific department, like in our example here. Notice that this can only be done through tables. If you don't have the set of data, if it's not made into a table, you don't have access to all these features, along with calculating the totals or the average or the minimum or maximum. So you need to make the data into a table first in order to use these. Alright, so in addition to the basic features, calculating data on a table, sorting a table, filtering a table, you have access to other data tools such as data validation and conditional formatting. Let's go over these. All right. So keep in mind that you need to have it as a table. Like it has to be a table first in order for you to use these features as well. Data validation being one of them. So with data validation, you can restrict the type or range and or format of a value input in a cell using data validation. You can access data validation dialog box by selecting the range you like to validate data for, and then on the data tab you click the data validation button. Custom settings are available to you to set up your own validation rules. Like for example, data validation here lets you restrict uh, input on a range of cells to for example here, let's see an actual example. So if I say validation criteria and I say whole number greater than 0, if I type any number that's less than 0, it's going to give me an error because it has a validation rule that it cannot be less than 0. And I have set that rule myself through these steps. So like let's say for example I give this spreadsheet to someone else and they try to put a negative value, then it's not going to let them because it has a data validation condition that it only allows whole numbers that are greater than 0. And you can pick any type of criteria there. So like you can say that I only want numbers that are like less than 100, for example, and it will still work. So it's up to you what you want to put as a condition. All right. Um, Data validation is not only restricted to numbers or a range, it can also validate based on a list of items. A separate range of cells can be defined as the actual list for the validation criteria, and a drop-down menu forms for the affected cells requiring validation from that list. So yeah, let's say you wanna restrict like this range to only pick values from these departments. So once you do that, you can do it through data validation, and it forms a drop-down menu. So if you type anything else here, a number or anything that's not in this list, it's gonna give you an error. So it's only gonna allow data that's on this list right here. All right. Conditional formatting. All right. This is a rather cool one. It's a cool feature. Um, let's say you wanna visual like you wanna see um, data, like you wanna highlight cells, for example, that are above 10,000 on a table. Conditional formatting is a feature that allows you to do such operations. You can highlight cells on a table by formatting them, giving them a different color, for example, based on a given criteria or a set of defined conditions. Options for conditional formatting can be found in the Home tab on the Style group box after you select the cells in question. So here, for example, I'll try to explain this more. So let's say you only want to highlight cells, like you want to color the cells here with data values that are above 10,000, for example. So you go to conditional formatting, highlight cell range, and this will format the cells with a value greater than, and you pick the value, so like 10,000 for example. Once you press OK, it's gonna format them with a dark green. Well, that's above 100,000. So these are the values that are above 100,000. they're highlighted in green. It's considering these to be above 100,000 because it doesn't know that, because they're actually letters and not characters. So conditional formatting is useful if you want to see, if you want to visually see the um, like cells that that satisfy a certain condition. Like in our example here, it was above 100,000, not 10,000. Sorry. Okay, so for the rest of this presentation, up until the the one before the last one, my coworker and partner William Zachary is gonna be showing you how to use charts. Um, and I will be doing the very last slides, which the ones on how to use flash fill and how to use autofill. Alright, well, I'll see you guys then.
Hello everyone, I'm William, and today I'll be talking about a few things, the first being charts. So charts are visual representations of data and are available in Excel in different formats and can be customized. You first need to select the table or range of cells you'd like to make into a chart. Make sure the selected range includes the row and column headers if they are available. You then click the Recommended Charts button in the Charts group, which is on the Insert tab. This will bring up the Recommended Charts dialog box, which is a set of charts Excel has chosen for the range of data you've selected. If you'd like a different option, you may click the All Charts tab at the top to display all available charts. A chart once inserted is made up of several separate elements, each with their own options and properties. You can hide and show the elements of a chart using the Add Element button, which is the green plus sign button, on the right side of the chart. It is also possible to modify the format and appearance of each element on the chart through the task pane activated using the black right pointing arrow next to each element on the list. All charts can be designed to look a unique predefined way, or you can pick from the design styles and colors available to you by clicking the plume button on the right of the selected chart. Different designs are available to you for different types of charts, and you may also pick a combination of colors to apply to the chart by selecting the Color tab. Charts features include the option to filter, which is hide or show data elements on the chart. You can access the filtering options menu by clicking the funnel-shaped icon to the right side of the selected chart. The tab's values and names in which you can check and uncheck the data elements you'd like to display in the chart. So now we'll be talking about pivot tables. A pivot table is a program tool that allows you to reorganize and summarize selected columns and rows of data in a spreadsheet or database table to obtain a desired report. To create a pivot table, you first begin by selecting the specific range of a table from the worksheet you'd like to make the pivot table for. The Analyze tab is then activated, and you can manipulate the pivot table through the Pivot Table Fields task pane by dragging the fields to report the proper areas, using filters, columns, rows, and values. So as you can see here, we're taking the branch and creating that to be the rows. Then we're taking the salary, or total cells rather, and making that the values. And it shows those two items. A pivot chart is the visual representation of a pivot table in Excel. Pivot charts and pivot tables are connected with each other, so whatever you change in a pivot table is going to change in the pivot chart, and vice versa. A pivot chart can be inserted through the Insert tab and clicking the Pivot Chart button. The pivot chart can be filtered, and it will dynamically change depending on the pivot table. If you drag a field to the rows areas and columns area, you can create a two-dimensional pivot table. The values area will find the sum, average, min, max of the rows and columns and will insert blanks or 0 in the cells on the pivot table that has no data. So here we're going to be going over sorting and filtering. Just like the tables and worksheets, pivot tables can also be sorted or filtered accordingly. Filters can help you hide or show rows for specific values in the pivot table, while sorting sorts the rows in ascending or descending order. Next up, we'll be going over formulas with functions. Excel is known for its use of formulas. Through the formulas, you can perform needed calculations on the data within the same spreadsheet or across different spreadsheets. In the example above, you can perform basic arithmetic operations, plus, minus, multiplication, division, on a specific cell. You can access the value of a specific cell by typing its position on the spreadsheet, or by selecting it with your mouse. All formulas start with an equal sign, followed by the formula you'd like to calculate on that cell. Functions can be used with formulas as long as the output value of the function matches the data type of that cell. Different function libraries are available for use in Excel, from basic statistical functions like sum, average, min, max, to financial functions. Excel offers a variety of functions to ease the task of calculations of several kinds, and to perform logical calculations that are criteria specific, like the if function, for example, which returns true or false depending on the criteria given. So now we'll be going over how to protect a workbook. This includes locking your spreadsheet with a password, as well as options to share your spreadsheets. So it is possible for you to protect the workbook by setting a password for access. This can be done through selecting the Review tab and clicking the Protect Workbook button. You will be prompted to create a password, and prompted for the same password again to confirm. Now, next time you or someone else opens the workbook, they will have to enter the password you've set in order to access the workbook Excel file. Using this can just protect in case you want to share it with someone else and you don't want them messing with it, for example. So now if you want to protect a sheet or cells within a sheet, what you can do is you can do this as well. By default, all cells are locked when you protect a workbook. But if you don't want to password protect the entire workbook or the entire sheet, you can unlock specific cells for editing. You can do so by selecting the range of cells, and then expanding the Format drop-down in the Cells group, then deselecting Lock Cell. You will have to set a password through the Protect Sheet dialog box, though, for this to take effect. So now, if someone were to come in and view this, they wouldn't be able to access the still locked cells, but they can still change the ones that we did unlock, which is a nice handy tool for protecting a sheet. Next, Ayoub will be going over autofill and flash fill in Excel 2013.
Just follow that pattern to fill the data, so you don't have to fill it, like put data in every cell. I'll show you what I mean. Instead of entering data manually on a worksheet, you can use the autofill feature to fill cells with data that follows a pattern that is based on data in other selected cells. For example, you can generate a list of months using autofill by simply entering JAN in the first cell, right here. Autofill is also capable of finding patterns in numbers and filling the selected cells with data pertaining to that pattern, as well as automatically filling in formulas. So let me expand on that. See, like for example, you can see that the pattern here is that it increments by 15. So if I use autofill, it's going to increment by 15. Here it knows that Jan is a month, so if I use autofill, it's going to fill out the rest of the cells with the month corresponding to the next month. Here, if I do it for formulas, it's just basically going to copy that formula and it's going to apply it to to the next range of cells. Using flash fill, it's new in Excel 2013 and up to fill out data based on an example. Flash fill works by recognizing a pattern in your data and filing the rest of the cells dependent on that pattern. It works better when your data has consistent patterns. One use of the feature is the ability to create emails from first and last names by creating an example in the first row and then using flash fill to generate the others. So flash fill is kind of an interesting feature in Excel 2013 and up. So it helps you basically find patterns in data and repeat. Like for example here, I put the first name of that person and their last name at gmail.com. When I use flash fill, it automatically recognizes that the first name is going to be the first cell separated by a dot and then the last name at gmail.com, and it just adds at gmail.com. So it's going to do it for every pair of first and last names. Flash fill can also be used to find specific pattern. Like for example, this is, if you look at it, this is a string pattern. It's a first name separated by a slash, last name slash ID. So when I enter those in the corresponding cell, it automatically looks at the next cell and looks at the last string or the last number after the slash, and it automatically deducts that that's the ID for that person, and that the first string is the first name and then the next string is the last name. So it recognizes that pattern and it applies it for the rest of the rows. Keep in mind that this can work with millions of rows if you have like a lot of data, but it has to be restricted to this format. Like if I add a slash, I guess, and I put in something else there, it's probably gonna break that pattern and it's not gonna recognize what the ID is anymore. But it will still find the first part. It will still find the first name and last name. We were gonna do this presentation live, so we were gonna offer a demo and we were gonna open Excel and show, basically, like take questions from the audience and try to answer them as best as we could, while demonstrating the feature that the person has asked for. But since this is a recorded presentation, we will have to end it here. We do workshops at the CLE Pecan campus at South Texas College. So you're more than welcome to attend our workshops or simply go for tutoring. A lot of nice people can help you here, and they can guide you through the difficulties you're having with several classes, including the ones for computer science and Microsoft Office. Thank you for sticking by, and thank you for watching the whole presentation. It was a delight, and it was a pleasure for us to basically put together this video for you guys.